Looking back on my own formation, when I was in the seminary, we were fortunate to have a priest who was very knowledgeable in the scriptures to be our professor. He taught us the Gospels. One semester he taught us the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And then the second semester he taught us the meaning that's found in the Gospel of John that we heard today. I really believe that I was fortunate to be part of that class because studying for the scriptures with him became easy because of the way he presented the scriptures, the way he taught us to appreciate what's in front of us. But most of all, what he taught us and taught me about the Gospel of John is that there's a wonderful story that's told, and there's an even deeper story beneath the words. But we have to understand how John was telling the story, because John is a wonderful storyteller in his own right. Remember, St. John was the youngest of all of the apostles, and he lived the longest. He's one of the apostles that wasn't martyred. And he was the last one to write the gospel, so he had plenty of time to absorb everything that he saw Jesus say and do, and find the meaning behind the teachings of Jesus and put it down into writing. And you know who else helped him write the gospel? Who did he take care of after Jesus died? The Blessed Mother, huh? So she was there to help him remember these things. She treasured a lot of these things in her heart that he was able to absorb through her. But John uses a lot of literary devices. He uses allegories. He uses symbols and signs. But you need to know what those signs mean. Because listening to the gospel, you could take it on one level. But John wants to take you higher, to a higher level of understanding of what the gospel means. And this passage begins John's narrative of Jesus' salvific act of giving himself to us, to give himself completely to us. And it begins, of all places, in a small town of Cana in Galilee. And so John, the storyteller, begins to weave his story, his theology in the gospel. He sets the hook right away. He grabs our attention by saying to us, on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana in Galilee. The third day. He doesn't mean that it was Wednesday, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not the third consecutive 24-hour period, but rather it's the third day. The first day, something began. Something was given and started. Later, a second day came, and that's the middle of the story, the epic. But on the third day, something's coming to an end. And when something comes to an end, something new begins. Here's the story. Something begins new at Cana in Galilee. And of all times and places, at a wedding. Now, you and I know how joyful weddings are, huh? Filled with good cheer, filled with a lot of emotion. When we see a young man and a young woman come forward before us to pledge their love, to become one. And from the unity of husband and wife comes what? New life. New life is generated through this relationship. New life comes into the world. So we know on a surface level, that's what the meaning of a wedding is all about, to celebrate the coming together, a union, to bring forth life, to issue life, to be co-creators with God in this world. But John grabs our attention again. He says there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee. And guess who was the first guest he mentions? Mary, huh? He says the mother of Jesus was there. Uh-oh. We better pay attention because Mary is just not Mary. Who is she to all of us? Who is she to Christ? Who is she to the nature of marriage? Mary, the Blessed Mother. She's the one that John shows that there's a deeper wedding going on. There's a more important marriage that's happening. Who is Mary's spouse? God, huh? God the Father through the power of the Holy Spirit. So, with Mary being at this earthly wedding, she's brought into the dimension of this earthly wedding, a heavenly wedding. The marriage of humanity and divinity. And through this marriage, who issues forth in the flesh? Jesus. The Word becomes flesh. God's purpose and plan now is in this reality of ours, this world. If anything, she's telling us something about marriage that God intended for us to receive the Christ. John proceeds with the story and he tells us the wedding's going along fine until they realize that they're short on wine. Mary then comes to Jesus with the concern they have no more wine. Oh my. When Mary utters those words as a representative of all of humanity before the divine, it makes us quake. Words of sadness. We have water. There's no water jugs. Water is good, it sustains life. But does it invigorate life? Does it infuse life with energies and grace as wine does? You know what it's like at a good table that you sit and you have a glass of wine before you eat. Your hearts are lifted up, you're energized. Wine brings flavor and energy to the moment. Water is humanity and wine is the divinity. She's saying humanity is not in complete union with the divine, with God. Something's missing in human life. Human life cries out, we have no wine. The rest of John's Gospel is going to show us that. The cries of humans that come to Jesus. The Roman official says, come, my boy is dying. The helplessness of the situation. The man at the pool who says, I have no one to throw me in. You hear the words, no one, empty, alone. Humanity's condition. They have no wine. Then John grabs our attention again with Jesus' response. Woman, what's this concern of yours have to do with me? My hour hasn't come yet. Oh, boy. You ladies, you moms and grandmas, do you know how to throw the look? Oh, I bet you do. A good grandma and a good mom can look at their kid and stop them in their tracks, huh? Can you stop your husband and make him turn around with a look? I bet you ladies can. Can you imagine the Blessed Mother representing all of humanity and our mother looking at him and saying, you know doggone well the answer to this question and what to do. She goes right to the source of where we can find the wine of life, to him. She walks away from him, and she speaks for the last time in the gospel. You never hear Mary speak again. does she say to the stewards, the waiters? Do whatever he tells you. Do you think she's just talking to them as a mother? She's talking to us. She's reminding us in this story of the gospel. Do what Jesus tells you to do. Listen to him. And then what does he do? He goes over to the stewards and says, fill these jars full of water. And there were 6 water jars. And they filled them to the brim. Now, I remember when I was in class, the priest had taught us, gave us an image. And I spent 2 weeks Googling and binging to see if I could find the artwork that he used to show you. But Daniel and I can only find a few, and it's in your worship aids. If you look at your worship aid, there's little pictures in there. On the front top cover, you see Mary and Jesus, and there's the 6 stone water jars, huh? Did any of you have any lucky numbers on Wednesday night's lottery? I guess we all were lucky until they gave the numbers, huh? What's an unlucky number for the Jews? 6. 6 is an unlucky number. 6 is a number that represents something that's not complete. It's imperfect. It needs to be made perfect. John's playing with us again. He's teasing us and he's wetting our whistle. Why would Jesus give 6 of anything to a bride and groom on their wedding day that represents something unlucky?